Hello, and welcome to the lesson on the dynamics of interpersonal relationships, specifically focusing on dialectical tensions. In this lesson, we will examine dialectical perspectives on relational dynamics, 3 common dialectical tensions or conflicts, and some strategies for successful relationship maintenance. Let's begin by talking about the dialectical perspectives on relational dynamics. We have a term called dialectical tensions, and these are conflicts that arise when 2 opposing or incompatible forces exist simultaneously within a relationship. So that means 2 things are happening at the exact same time, which are causing tension. Several dialectical forces make successful communication challenging. So how do communicators address relational issues with one another? We really have to think about how we talk to one another and how we behave towards one another in our interpersonal relationships. There's often a tension or conflict that exists between our personal self and our relational goals. Let's talk about it further. Understanding dialectical tensions. Maintaining self-identity and relational identity in intimate relationships is challenging to do, yet all relationships will experience these tensions from one time or another. So if you think about NAP stages of relational de-escalation that we talked about in a previous lesson, once a couple hits the differentiating stage, which is a very normal stage for couples to hit, it's no wonder that we start to experience, or that couple starts to experience, these dialectical tensions. Unfortunately, dialectical tensions may become a cost for the relationship. And by costly, I mean a disadvantage. It could cause the relationship to break up. Balancing the tensions can be very challenging, especially if the couple has children. So as much as I like to think about children being an added reward to a relationship, children could also be an added stress or an added cost to the relationship, hence making for more conflict in the relationship. Most couples do learn to balance their tensions over time, which is great news. Why? Couples tend to argue about the same issues time and time again, just in disguise. So think about the main things that a couple might fight over. For instance, money, or time, or intimacy, or friendship. And so when money issues arise month after month, we get used to fighting about them. And once we get used to fighting about them, we learn how to deal with them. We learn how to cope with them, ultimately learning how to solve our relationship problems. Satisfying relationships require that we maintain a balance between the self-identity versus the couple identity. And learning how to manage and deal with these identities is a challenging thing, but definitely worthwhile. We're going to specifically focus on 3 common dialectical tensions. The first is called integration versus separation dialect. Here there's a conflict between 2 needs. First, the need for both connection, and second, the need for independence. So we engage in conflicts over time issues. Think about how many conflicts have you had over time? How to spend your time, when to spend your time, for how long to spend your time. So in relationships, sometimes we need to remember that we need alone time and we need other friends outside of the relationship. And there's really nothing wrong with either of those. So as much as we need to spend time and integrate with our partner, we also need some healthy separation time as well. We want to bond then with our partner, but we also need to bond with others like family members, friends, etc. outside of the relationship. We also need to bond as a couple with other couples and with other friends. And so learning how to manage your relationship in a variety of different contexts could be very beneficial for the relationship. A second dialectical tension is called expression versus private dialect. Here, there's a conflict between the need to both protect our personal private self and to reveal our personal private self. So this is really conflicts that we engage in over communication issues and self-disclosure issues. If you think about earlier in the semester, we learned about how our perceived self is in competition with our public self, right? So our perceived self is the person we know ourselves to be during the moments of honest self-examination. So we know ourselves best privately. And then we're strategic in choosing what parts of ourselves to reveal and share and talk about with others. So this is a conflict over the need to protect versus reveal. We make decisions about what we disclose and how much in order to balance the tension. So think back to our discussions on self-disclosure, intimacy, and trust over the semester. Imagine all of the different conflicts that could arise because your partner is asking, why you're not talking about your feelings, or why you haven't discussed the health issue, or why didn't you tell me about blank, and you can fill in the blank. So these are just the issues that we may have about our communication and dialogue with one another. And the third common dialectical tension is called stability versus change. This is a conflict between the need for both routines and expected activities and the need for new and exciting activities. We engage in conflicts then over lifestyle issues. To some degree, we like routine, so we feel like we understand our partner. We want to predict things about them. We want to expect things about them and grow to know how they'll talk and behave. But on the other hand, too much expected activity can lead to staleness in a relationship. We don't want to be bored. We don't want to expect and predict everything about our partner. And so sometimes a little mystery, a little spontaneity, a little change in the relationship could be healthy and a good thing. In quotes, it says there, "You're not the person I married," because that could be problematic if someone is too spontaneous or they're not the same person that they were when we married them. But we have to remember change is inevitable, and change is something we should embrace and accept in a relationship and learn how to grow and flourish through the change in the relationship. Therefore, relationships do need spontaneity from time to time. Think about ways that you could spice up a relationship. So how can you do some new and exciting activities? Maybe your date night is always dinner and the movies, but instead you can change date night to something else, like going to a concert or going for a bike ride or, an evening picnic at the beach. But if we continue to do the same old routines day after day, week after week, month after month, then it could lead to feeling like the relationship is stuck in a rut. So think about ways you can spice up your relationship. Next, let's talk about maintaining and supporting our relationships. Just as gardens need tending and cars need tune-ups, and bodies need exercise, relationships need ongoing maintenance to keep them successful and satisfying. Relationship maintenance, then, is a term that can be defined as communication that keeps relationships running smoothly and satisfactorily. Let's talk about some strategies, then, for successful relationship maintenance. Number 1, positivity. Keeping the relational climate polite and upbeat, but also making sure we're careful about how we use criticism. So not just avoiding it, but using it in a way that's not offensive to our partner. Number 2, openness. Talking directly about the nature of the relationship and disclosing your personal needs and concerns. Number 3, using assurances. Letting the other person know, both verbally by what we say and non-verbally by how we behave, that he or she matters to you and that you're committed to the relationship. Number 4, social networks. Being invested in each other's friends, family, and loved ones. So taking time out and joining them for that work dinner, or attending their friend's barbecue, or going to the family's birthday party. All of these ways that you can show up and be there for your partner through social networking. Number 5, sharing tasks. This is by helping one another take care of life's chores and obligations. So is there a random act of kindness that you can do for your partner? Taking on one of their tasks, helping them get one of their duties done? That would be helpful and also show them just how much you care.